CO2. No ocean, no life. Welcome back to Ocean News from the Sea. Dr. Walrus, from the emissions and absorption of CO2 globally, we may find that the sea may absorb nearly 25% of CO2 emitted to the atmosphere. But how does the sea accomplish the task?
The sea absorbs CO2 and transports it to the deep sea. This process can be compared to the pumping of a compressor. So we describe the process of the sea absorbing CO2 in the atmosphere as a pump effect. Pump effect has two kinds. One is a physical effect through dissolving. Another is a biological effect through biological transfer.
What is physical pump effect?
Physical pump effect refers to a process in which colder seawater sinks to the deep. On account of coldness water, CO2 in the atmosphere above is more easily dissolved into the seawater. The CO2 dissolved into the seawater is transported into the deep sea with the seawater. This process is called a physical pump effect. Because of this effect, we understand the sea absorbs CO2 in the atmosphere in large quantities, in high-latitude waters in the Atlantic Ocean. However, it should be noted that, although the seawater can bring absorbed CO2 in the atmosphere into the deep sea, ultimately, the seawater will return to the sea surface in other places through upwelling. In other words, the absorbed CO2 may somehow be released to the atmosphere once again. But this process may take hundreds or thousands of years. As for biological pump effect, in the edition on the invisible forest in the sea, we learned that many phytoplankton exist in the water level, which can transform CO2 into organic substances. When the phytoplankton uses CO2 in seawater for photosynthesis, CO2 in the atmosphere will come to replenish. This process is like phytoplankton absorbs CO2 in the atmosphere to the sea through photosynthesis.
So creatures' food chain may also bring CO2 into the deep sea.
However, we must also understand that not all CO2 absorbed into the sea through photosynthesis will be brought into the deep sea, because the phytoplankton will release CO2 once again through the food chain's transfer. But during the process, a small part will form particulate organic substances, such as dead bodies or fecal pellets of sea creatures. These particulate organic substances will gradually sink into the deep sea due to Earth's gravity. But during this process, some of it will be dissolved once again to release CO2. Then it moves with seawater. Some of it will sink into the sea floor and be buried. This process is like the sea pumps CO2 in the atmosphere into the deep sea through biological pump effect.
It turns out that both physical pump and biological pump are ways of the sea absorbing CO2 in the atmosphere. No ocean, no life. See you next time!